to webinars during the pandemic, and we have thought of to organize a students webinar during this time, and it will be an opportunity for the students and research scholars for the promotion of philosophy and philosophical reflection. In this session, we have invited 6 research scholars of different universities of our country to present their reflective thoughts on different fundamental issues of philosophy. Friends, I think this session will be very thought-provoking. I welcome all the research scholars to our philosophy family to this webinar. This evening, the paper presentators are Mr. Satyam Shashank Sonkar, the research scholar of Banaras University. Satyam
Shashank Sonkar.
Yes, Satyam Shashank Sonkar, research scholar of Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. Mr. Mubarak Hussain is a scholar, University of Gaurbanga, Malda, West Bengal. Mr. Bijoy Paul, research scholar, University of Gaurbanga, Malda, West Bengal. Ms. Joyashree Kaur, research scholar, Maharaja Ramachandra Bhanjadev University, Baripada, Odisha. Ms. Anupama Tripathi, research scholar, Maharaja Ramachandra Bhanjadev University, Baripada, Odisha. And Ms. Payal Parida, research scholar, Gangadhar Meher University, Sambalpur, Odisha. I welcome all the scholars to be connected with us to present the papers. Today, our esteemed judges of this evening are Professor Paresh Chandra Das, the former professor of philosophy in the Radhani College. We have with us Dr. Anup Rai, the former associate professor of philosophy. We have with us Dr. K. Umnar Rao, the assistant professor of philosophy, and our host is Professor Pramod Kumar Das. He is the main architect behind all this program. I welcome all the esteemed judges, host, and moderator of the webinar. And the paper presentation must be aware of the distribution of mass before presentation. The presentation, actually for presentation, mark is 7.5, and for own view, we have 2.5 marks. For style of presentation, we have 5 marks, and for response to the questions, we have 5 marks. So all the scholars must be aware of the time limitation, that is 15 minutes. Now, it's my pride privilege to once again welcome all the scholars and supervisors and professors of philosophy. We have with us Professor Jadechar Ghosh, the professor of philosophy. We welcome on behalf of philosophy family. So now, a reflection on Wittgenstein's philosophy. It is supervised by Professor Jadechar Ghosh. So I welcome Mr. Bijoy Paul to comments. Mr. Bijoy Paul, please.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Firstly, I respect are all judges are and
Bijoy, it is echoing actually because you have 2 mobiles perhaps.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
It is making echo.
Good evening, everyone. First, I respected all judges and all professors on the and also all research scholars who are present here. Now, I am going to present my seminar paper as language and essence, a reflection on Wittgenstein's philosophy.
Visible. It is visible.
Okay, sir. Thank you. In this paper, I have just tried to understand how Wittgenstein critically reflects the concept of essence in his philosophy. In the history of human thoughts from Thales, the problem of essence has been continually preoccupying the mind of philosophy with tendency to deal with in varying perspective. Essence is designations for the property that maps on entity or substance what is fundamentally is and what is and which is the has by necessity and without which it loses its identity. We tend to assume that there is something in common to all trees.
Bijoy, what is that sound? What is that sound?
Horse,
The train is going, train.
For example, the class of trees cannot. Sir, train is going so. For example, the class of trees cannot be a mere random one. It is membered, and individual trees, no matter how individual different they may be, others respects, must have some characteristics in common, or so we think, for otherwise they would not be nameable by single general tree. This shared characteristic constitutes the essence of that kinds of things, constitutiveness. If you follow the essentialism in philosophy of language, then some fundamental question arises in our mind, such as what is the role of essence in the philosophy of language? Whatever the concept of essentialism is either barrier or abstractable, or essentialism is the helpful to understand of our daily life. Or the concept of essentialism either acceptable or reject to understand the better communications each other for life. Now we will try to give answer above these questions one by one. The meaning of the word is the meaning of the word is it is used in the language. Philosophical Investigations, section 743. This is the this section is based of essentialism in his latter field. Wittgenstein says, "I will sometimes." Wittgenstein says, "I will sometimes speak of a primitive language as a language game." Here, use the primitive language means that language is not a fixed but growing phenomenon. Language has developed through various stages, from the primitive to the most advanced form in the present age. Language is a dynamic character. Wittgenstein maintains that this concept of language games may appear to critic as a simple, naive, and perhaps even dull or interesting. Wittgenstein's concept of language games is a fundamental concept of semantics. In his later philosophy, the theory of language games extends his earlier essentialism view of a picture theory of meaning. Actually, picture theory of meaning is a essentialist theory, where he says language is a model of reality. Essentialists held for the reasons to be considered that there must be an essence of courage or seemingly of any quality which a general classificatory terms might name. Wittgenstein replies to essentialists must be with a highly circumstantial analysis of the disparate use of many individual words which he contends, establish that there are no disparate use of many individual words which he contained, establish that there are no common essence of of the things which they severally name. He maintains, for example, that there is no essence of knowledge, that the process which we call process of recognitions form a vast family with overlapping similarities, that the phenomena we call language have no one things in common which makes us use the property, that the word names is used to characterize many different kind of uses of a word related to one another in many different ways, and that we've used the word derived to read for families of cases. Consider for Wittgenstein shows his general approach of the trouble saying. Consider, for example, the proceeding that we call games. I mean board games, card games, ball games, Olympic games, and so on. What is common to them all? Don't say there must be something common, or they would not be called games. But look and see whether there is anything common to all. For if we look at them, we will not see something that is common to all, but similarities and relationships. Looks, for example, at board games with their multifarious relationships. Now pass to card game. Here we find many corresponds with the first groups, but many common features drop out and others appear. When we pass to next ball game, much that is common is retained, but much is lost. Are they all amusing? Compare chess with the nouns and clauses. Or is there always winning or losing? Or competitions between players? Think of patience. In ball games, there is a winning and losses. But when a child throw a ball and catch again, this feature is drop out. This is argument which establishes surely that one of the things features noted are common to all games, and that particularly none of them that characteristics which the essence of gameness is, but thus is also found, as it is seemingly purports to, that there is nothing common to all games. I shall attempt to show that does not, and that is failure in due to not to any inadequacy in Wittgenstein's analytic thinking of disparate feature of several sort of games, but a pervasive confusions about what is established about what is to count of founding, either the everyone games have something in common, or that there is in essence of gameness. The result of this examination, we see a complicated network of family resemblance, overlapping and crisscrossing, sometimes overlap similarities, sometimes resemblance of details. I cannot think to better term describe these similarities than family resemblance, because the various resemblance between family members about feature, eyes, color, street, and temperament, among others, overlap and crisscross in the same way. And for example, I will create a family game or family. I will create a family of games in the same way. The different types of numbers constitutes a family. No general term has a unitary and fixed meaning. Wittgenstein's point can be generalized if we look at the matter or not, as we have been doing from the side of things, to which word apply, but rather from the side of the word, looked at from the side of the things. This point is that there is a no characteristics or set of characteristics which all things named by a given general term have in a common. There is a no essence which they all share. Looked at now from the side of word, this point may be put as follows. No general term has a unitary meaning. As use the term unitary, a word has unitary meaning when its meaning constitutes indissoluble whole. That means the statement of its meaning refers to certain definite characteristics, and something must have all of them for the word to properly applicable to it. So the notions having unitary meaning is thus distinct from that of the having a single meaning. If a word does not have a single meaning, it has two or more meaning, and each of these meaning may not be unitary. For example, special purpose, we can match meaning of general terms unitary by stipulating we define limits. We might lay it down, for example, that nothing shall be called games unless score of can be kept, and unless the players received no money for their performance, and unless there is an official set of rules. The resulting concept will not, however, be concept of games, but only some part of it, which we call think. Wittgenstein would want to claim that not only such a family word, games and number, but most naval general terms have no unitary fixed meaning. Let us example claim that the term lemon. Lemon normally has sure features, a yellow color when ripe, skin of certain thickness with a waxy texture, avoid shape, acid tasty, is size and hardness that falls within a certain range, and so on. If an object has all these attributes, it is definitely a lemon. It might encounter that its special region of the world due to atomic fault. Lemon trees started proceeding fruits of pinkish color and with sweet tasty, but having all other characteristics of ordinary lemon. These fruits would doubtless still lemon, pink lemon, or sweet lemons. A thing cannot lack all of these typical lemons properties and still be lemon, but there is no one property which an object must have to properly all a lemon. It must seemingly have some combinations of the properties which lemons typically has, like a game. So lemon have no essence and have no unitary meaning. Wittgenstein's are good. The general term has no unitary meaning, fixed meaning. He says, if he says philosophical investigation section 79, if one says Moses did not exist, this may mean various things. It may means that the Israelis did not have a single leader when they without dread from Egypt, or their leader has not called Moses, or there cannot have been anyone who accomplished all that the Bible related Moses, or etc. Now, generally, a fundamental questions arises in our mind: are you justified reject essence in the field of our language? Or it is true that there is no essence or games or lemon or it is true that that there is no essence of games or lemon, but it is language like that. According to Wittgenstein's, language means primitive language, which are closely related form of life. Our form of life, as represented by our daily activities, are only constitutes conditions to the language that we use communications. Wittgenstein also says language like a tool in the toolbox, because language is various types or primitive. Like toolbox, there is so many tools where these are need where these are needs where this one by used. This way of interesting language goes the context of use. For him, meaning depend on the context of use. A word statement has a meaning because it is used certain context. So he mentioned that the meaning of the word is it is language. It is his context gives example of 5, but example. A builder and assistant. Building which is his building stones that are blocks, pillars, slab, and beams. B has to pass the stone, and that is ordered to in a need them. For this purpose, they use a language consisting of the word blocks, pillars, slab, beam. A calls of them out. Calls them out. We bring the stone with has to learn to bring at such and such a cost. For a large class of cases, the employment of the word meaning, though not for this word, can be explained in this way. The meaning of the word is used in language.
Please conclude, sir. Please conclude.
Okay, sir. The use of the word. Above this argument, we may say that Wittgenstein did not fully deny essence language, but Wittgenstein succeeds some clarification or cannot be defined in terms any general word. He neither could show that no word has to define. Wittgenstein's use basically emphasizes the use theory of meaning, where he says, don't think but look. Wittgenstein says philosophy is a battle against bewitchment of our intelligence by means by language. Wittgenstein also says that certain feature of our language mislead us, tempt us fall into ways thinking that result is bewitchment. To this extent, our language is false, but philosophy is also false. So finally, we can say that one thing is certain, but that is one thing is certain, must certain. What we do and do fast, if philosophical puzzlement is to be removed, it is understand and working of our ordinary language. Finally, in my point of view, that Wittgenstein in his later philosophy is not opposed essentialism or early philosophy. Many commentators says Wittgenstein's early period and later periods are both are contradict. But in my point of view, Wittgenstein is not both periods are contradict. Wittgenstein is not an essentialist, anti-essentialist, but he gives this form is essentialism, new form of essentialism. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks so much. Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks so much, Bijoy, for taking a very beautiful topic, that is language and essence in reference to Wittgenstein's philosophy, and you have tried to justify how language games have the forms of language, and where one begins to make use of words, and you have taken also the examples of how language game has a family resemblance, and at last you have tried to give a the correct account of logic of language that Wittgenstein wanted to demonstrate, wanted to say. And by this, you have tried to give you have tried to justify the logic of language in reference to Wittgenstein. Now, over to Professor Dr. K. Rao to interact.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Maharana and Bijoy Paul. I request some questions from the participants. Let me wait for half a minute. If anybody is interested for raising any question, he or she is welcome. Please unmute and directly ask the question to Bijoy Paul. Well, I don't see anybody unmuting. Well, I move to Dr. Anup Rai. Sir, do you have any question for Bijoy? Dr. Rai.
No. Yeah. Carry on. I don't have anything.
Well, I move to Dr. Kailash Das. Sir.
Mr. Bijoy.
Yes, sir.
What is your argument? What is Wittgenstein's argument against essentialism? Is it only family resemblance, his concept of family resemblance, or anything else?
Sir, Wittgenstein's meaning and use, why Wittgenstein's family resemblance language games, where he introduced all properties having no common one at least one things which are called essence. These are relation as crisscross and overlapping. But when we jump in language and philosophy, this Wittgenstein says, many commentators say Wittgenstein's philosophy of later period of philosophy, where he fully contradict of essentialism. But in my point of view, Wittgenstein's not fully reject essence. He says, if language full not reject, he says, when philosophy, which word are puzzlement, basically general word, fixed meaning, this word are removed, and
Bijoy, one thing, what Dr. Das wants to know from you is whether the idea of family resemblance support essence to be there in language. When you talk of family resemblance, well, this very idea of family resemblance support that language as essence. How do you say this?
Sir, Wittgenstein's family resemblance, where he says, so in a family, so many members, there are some things similarities and crisscrossing relationships, but essence there is no one essence thing. Essence fixed. There is no fixed one essence. These relations are crisscross and overlapping.
Towards the end, you tried to say that Wittgenstein is not anti-essentialist. Okay, so how do you justify this? In a strict sense,
yes. If we follow one philosophical investigation section 109, where he says philosophy is a battle against abusement of our intelligence by means of language, and others if we follows, then one such section I had forgot. One here he example blue color and dark blue color. If we reject essence, so there are so many problem arises. In my point of view, essence is not fully rejected.
Okay, thank you, Bijoy. Well, let us move to Dr. Maharana to carry on the further proceedings. Thank you, Bijoy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Maharana. Sir. Well, Dr. Kailash Maharana, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now